So I use VSCO film overlays, and recently they just brought out their new pack, their pack 05. That includes some incredible new film, which I'm going to be showing you today along with the rest of the pack. So first off, what exactly is VSCO? Well, it's a visual supply company, and they take film and they turn it into a digital preset using either Lightroom, Camera Raw, or Photoshop. And for some reason, I've particularly absolutely loved these presets. I've used them for maybe a year now. It's been quite a while, and I've used them just with my photography, and you haven't seen that because I can't really get that into video. It's not really a YouTube type thing. Now recently I've worked out how to use them in Lightroom for video, and I've been really blown away with the effects of video with VSCO. So I'm going to be showing you how to use it, what kind of effects you can get, and give you my opinions on what it's like for a workflow. Okay, so we're in Lightroom 5 and I have a Nikon RAW photograph up, and I'm going to show you first of all the photography benefits of VSCO film, because that's what it's meant for mostly. Now if you look to the left, you can see I have all 5 packs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first pack I think is the modern films, second pack is vintage films, the third pack is Polaroids, kind of instants, and it's got the consumer professional versions. The fourth pack is slides, so very contrasty, very saturated, sharp images. And the fifth pack is their brand new one, which I adore. It is their kind of consumer family type films, so the Kodak Golds and everything like that. And they look absolutely stunning. I think they really should deserve a pat on the back for those. Now for this image, it was a bright summer's day, so I think we'll go for a slide because it really bring out the contrast and the saturation of this. Excuse me, it's the wrong one. Here we go. So the 40 SP is a wonderful film, and we just increase the down out range, you get the clouds in there, and that's the kind of image you can get photography wise with this film. It is wonderful, smooth roll off of highlights, nice detail, but it's not over sharpened or digital looking. Now for video in Lightroom, it's a little bit different. What you have to do is, when you're in the library, double click on your video and it'll come up a bit bigger. You can't use Develop tab because that isn't supported with video in Lightroom right now. But you can still use the VSCO films. You see in Quick Develop tab, if you go to Save Presets, we have them still here, and they do work fairly well with video, almost like a JPEG image. Now this is in Belgium and Ypres, and it's again a summer's day, so you could go for a contrasty one, you don't have to. In the consumer instance, here's one of the instant looking films, and you can see it's a very prominent looking image, and that, if that's what you want, then you can use that. But I think for this one we can go to the fifth tab, fifth pack, and use Agatha Vista Vibrant. That's a really good looking film. And look at that, it's really come out well, and it doesn't look at all digital. And you can see that playing. It may be a bit choppy at first, but it should settle out if you've got a good graphics card. Now here's a video of this dragonfly on a leaf, and we need to adjust the saturation of this first because I shot this flat. Now to adjust the saturation, we're going to go to the bottom, and you hit Alt and saturation pops up here. So just add a certain amount just to make it look neutral. That's what we're trying to go for here. Neutral, and then add your film overlays because that's how it's meant to work. So we could again use the Agatha Scala 200 in the fourth pack, and that's a very wide dynamic range, sharp looking black and white film. I do use this one sparingly because there's such a wide dynamic range, you can almost get lost in the image, it's quite interesting. Or you could go for the Fuji 40 SP again, and you can see that really brings out the colours and the contrast. And some people would call this overexposed, and it is, but it almost doesn't look like it because of the film. And you can just bring the exposure down a little bit and make sure you get the exposure right, because the film reacts different ways in different lighting conditions. So the shadows will be completely different colours to highlights. So if we take the exposure right down, the colours are completely different to the exposures right up. So make sure you get it right. I've been told by VSCO that you have to get the exposure right for the character of the film to really show through properly and accurately. Now here we have footage of my friend going through this very dark tunnel, and there's massive amounts of contrast in the shadows compared to the highlights. And it's a good way to show you the way that different films react in the situation. So remember I told you about the very high dynamic range Africa Scala 200. We look at that, it's clawed back a fair amount of shadows, as you can see it almost breaking up there, and the highlights are very, very smooth and controlled. Now that's a huge difference from this one which we've seen before. All the shadows are pretty much crushed. You've got colour, but it's a very dramatic scene, and if that's what you want then you can go for that. Or in the Polaroids, if we go to the 690, now that one's done something similar, but it has lifted the blacks a bit, so although there's not much information, it looks smoother and much more film-like. Or in the 5th pack, we're going to go back to the 800 ISO Vista, and that one's gone very cold and blue because of the higher ISO of the film. Okay, so in this scene there is a lot of dark areas, and I can see with my own eye there is lots of digital video noise. We can try and mask that with a film overlay. If we go to the more contrasty ones, you can see that it does hide it, but it's not a very nice looking image because there's a lot of colour in it, and that doesn't really mix with the ISO performance of my camera. So on the other end, we could go for a black and white like the Africa Scala. It's clawed back a bit of detail, but it's too much for the ISO performance. There will be quite a bit of video noise still showing. Now I've found that the 5th pack is very, very good at hiding colour. If we go to the 400 and I'm going to use maybe the Vibrant, that is an incredibly dramatic scene and it looks wonderful. There's a lot of detail in it, and although it's hiding video noise, it's okay because there's so much more to look at now. Now I really hope you enjoy using this film in your next project, because I know I will. I'll see you soon.